Lineage Cell Therapeutics is, as the name would suggest, a cell therapy company, although we really prefer to think of ourselves as a cell transplant company. The reason for that is that the technology that we rely on is we have the ability to manufacture specific types of cells of the human body, and then we use those cells as the medicine. So it really is more like cell transplant technology than cell therapy. Cell therapy is a broad term. It encompasses a lot of ways that you can use cells. One of the challenges, I think, in our industry is that a lot of people think of stem cells. They were promised to be a new technology that might be applied in a whole bunch of different places. That hasn't necessarily been borne out. One of our challenges is that people often get confused about stem cells and our use of differentiated cells. So I like to say that stem cells are like flour, but you're not using flour. You want to either make bread or a cookie. Those are different things. They're used for different reasons. And so we are using the cookie or the bread as the medicine. We don't use the flour. And so that's sort of an oversimplified way of trying to make the technology approachable. But at the end of the day, the point is, don't put an undifferentiated cell into the body where a differentiated, demonstrably active cell could be utilized. The cells that we manufacture go through basically a recipe process. So we have the instructions by which we can manufacture specific and differentiated cell types. What's powerful about this technology is that we're able to go from our undifferentiated starting material to a discrete and well-characterized final cell type in less than a year. So we've proven this with auditory neurons as one example. With less than $1 million of investment and in fewer than 12 months, we were basically able to go from a decision to make auditory neurons to being able to actually manufacture them in the lab and moving into contracting for preclinical testing. You just cannot do that with small molecules and antibodies. There are too many steps and it's far more expensive. So the power of cell therapy is additive by virtue of its efficiency in the dollars that you put into it and what you're able to get out the other side. Lineage is thought today maybe as an ophthalmology company because our leading program is in ophthalmology, and we did sign one of the largest cell therapy license agreements with Roche and Genentech for that program. So a lot of people out there think of us as an eye company, and that's okay. We actually have 2 eye programs. We can manufacture retina cells, and we also can manufacture photoreceptors, so different type of cells that comprise the retina. But I think bigger picture and longer term, we really are a company that is using a technology that can be applied in a lot of different areas. So I think the sky's the limit. It's really about demonstrating that you've got the right solution in the right setting with the right patient population. And if you can pull all that together and show that you've got a nice clinical effect, you could have a successful program.
There's a dry form of the macular degeneration, and there's a wet form of the macular degeneration. The dry macular degeneration is by far more common. It's the 80 to 90% of patients with macular degeneration have the dry form of the macular degeneration. The main problem with the dry macular degeneration is that there's no treatment for it. There's no treatment that's been shown to actually stabilize vision in patients that have dry age-related macular degeneration with geographic atrophy. It's a significant unmet need.
OpRegen has been a very exciting program for us. This is where we manufacture replacement retina cells, and then we deliver them to the back of the eye where people have lost the retina cells they were born with. So this is typically due to aging, it can be environmental factors, even genetic conditions. And it's collectively known as dry age-related macular degeneration, or dry AMD, and it's one of the leading causes of blindness in this country. So we have a very different approach. We manufacture replacement parts. We call it replace and restore. What's been extraordinary is that we are the only organization, academic or industry, to be able to show that we can make the area in the back of the eye, the area of injury, could actually be smaller. The reason why that's important is that this is a progressive disease. The area in the back of the eye, the injury, ordinarily only grows larger. Human beings do not have the ability to regrow retina cells. We've been able to transplant these cells. They integrate into the host and they are functional. So we've seen not only that the area of atrophy can become smaller, but on average, the patients who got a nice coating of brand new cells, they actually improved an average of 12.8 letters. So if you were to go to the Registry of Motor Vehicles and look at an eye chart, imagine being able to read 12 letters more than you thought. That's 2.5 lines further down. So really extraordinary life-changing effects in the patients who've gotten the cells in the right location. So this is the power of cell therapy. This is what we're mostly excited about, is that if you replace the entire cell, you may be able to get these really extraordinary clinical outcomes. The research really supports that vision is such an important sense for everyone. And when we've had people who were on the trial who have experienced gains in vision, when they've been told for many years that they are going to go blind, that they are going to lose their vision, and all of a sudden they gain new capabilities, new functional activity, it really is extraordinary. We had a surgeon who talked about a patient calling him crying because she was able to write checks and she realized she wasn't using her glasses. And it doesn't seem like very much, but when you've been told you have a progressive disease that's going to rob you of your sight, and you're not going to be able to look at your cell phone, and you're not going to be able to read words on a page, that's life-altering. And if you have the courage to go through one of these experimental therapies and you do have a good outcome, it really can lead to very emotional responses in a positive way. The OPC1 program is a population of oligodendrocyte progenitor cells. You can think of these as the myelin-generating cells of your spinal cord. So they help control the message between your brain and your appendages. So the injuries which may occur, spinal cord injuries, can cause the loss of sensation or mobility. And our approach to helping people gain greater mobility through their recovery is to manufacture replacement cells and deliver them right to the site of injury. This is a program that's been tested so far in 30 individuals with severe spinal cord injuries. It's been very exciting to see the safety and efficacy data that we have collected so far, and we're really excited about continuing to advance this program through additional clinical trials. It's really important with any new medicine or new therapy to be approachable. You don't want to have a program that really is super customized for an individual. It has to be essentially off the shelf, and all of our programs need to have that kind of deployability at a lot of different centers. So this new study that we're launching that utilizes a new, easier to deploy positioning device is really taking advantage of the fact that there has been advancements and miniaturization, essentially, where we can now utilize a stand that holds the needle, which is attached to the patient. The reason why that's important is in the old way of doing it, you had to disconnect the patient from the respirator when the cells were being administered. Now, you can't keep them disconnected for very long. So with this new system, the cells can actually be administered to the patient, let's say over 5 minutes, while the patient is breathing, and the whole equipment, the whole apparatus is moving up and down on the patient. So we think that that's going to be safer. We think it's more easily deployed at a large number of centers, and it really is connected tightly to our approach of making sure that we make these technologies as easy to use and as broadly approachable for as many patients as possible. One of the really exciting things about the new study that we're doing with the device is that we actually are, for the first time, going to be able to enroll patients who have a chronic injury. So heretofore, we have utilized this therapy in the subacute setting, which is 3 to 6 weeks after an injury. But what if it could benefit someone who's a year or 2 years after their injury? That would be really incredible. So we're excited that we've been already having discussions with FDA about utilizing this new delivery system in patients with chronic injuries. And if we see something, that could open up a whole new area for us. Thomas Kuhn wrote about scientific revolutions, and one of the principles that underlies it is the maturation of a technology. And so when I think about cell therapy, or more specifically cell transplants, I think a lot of the promises and the hopes from even 10 years ago will be borne out, but I think we need to start with more approachable areas where we're more likely to have some success. I happen to believe that that success can be demonstrated first in areas like the eye and the spinal cord, in settings like dry AMD and spinal cord injury. There are a lot of reasons for that, but ultimately, could cell therapy be applied to other areas like heart disease or diabetes? Certainly, I think that's possible. So I think we're going to see a natural advancement and progression. There's going to be new education and learnings, and we're going to benefit from that experience over time. And I really do believe that cell transplants will be an entirely new branch of medicine that offers solutions to problems that small molecules and antibodies haven't been able to address at this time. I feel a real sense of privilege to be CEO of this company because the technology is very powerful and is starting to show what it's capable of in certain settings. The short, medium, and long-term outlook that I have, in the short term, we're really excited about some of the regulatory interactions we're having with FDA. So that's going to help inform our plans going forward. More in the medium term, we're thinking about new areas that we might want to go into, other companies that we might collaborate with, or academic entities that we could collaborate with on different programs, and really making sure that when we discover some new opportunity, that there's really a product there, that it has all the attributes that you need to be successful, that it's not just basic science being sorted out, but really thinking about the end user. Longer term, because the technology that we utilize and literally the cells that we utilize are capable of becoming any of the cells in the human body, if given the right instructions, I'm really excited to see where this technology can go. It's not just at Lineage Cell Therapeutics, there are other companies as well that are looking at things like heart cells and pancreas cells, and we really are just scratching the surface on a whole new branch of medicine, using the transplant of whole cells to change the course of disease in ways that no one thought possible before.